fidgeting nervously in the executive lobby of Kingston Industries. My mother kept smoothing her designer dress, while my father checked his Rolex for the 5th time in as many minutes. "Miss Kingston will be with you shortly," my assistant Charlotte told them, suppressing a smile. They had no idea they were about to meet their daughter, the same daughter whose trust fund they'd given away 6 months ago. "How long do you want them to wait?" Charlotte's voice came through my intercom. I watched them through the feed, remembering that day in their luxury penthouse when they'd casually destroyed my future. Or so they thought. "Let them stew for another 15 minutes, I replied. "They made me wait 25 years for my trust fund. They can wait a few more minutes to meet the CEO who's buying their company." The memory played in my mind, sharp as broken glass. "We need to discuss something," Mom had said over Sunday brunch, her voice carrying that fake sweetness that always meant trouble. "It's about your trust fund." I'd looked up from my coffee, suddenly alert. The trust fund, $2 million from my grandparents, was supposed to be mine when I turned 25. That milestone was just 2 weeks away. "Your brother needs it more," she continued, not meeting my eyes. "His new business venture requires significant capital, and well, you're doing fine with your little startup." "Little startup?" I'd repeated, stunned. "Techfin Solutions employs 50 people. We're revolutionizing financial technology. Playing with computers isn't a real business," Dad had cut in. "Thomas has a concrete investment opportunity. Real estate. Something solid." Thomas. My golden child brother who'd never worked a day in his life, who'd failed at 3 different business ventures using our parents' money. "That trust fund was from my grandparents," I'd protested. "They left it specifically to me." "And we're your parents," Mom had said firmly. "We know what's best. The paperwork is already done. The money has been transferred to Thomas's account." I'd sat there, coffee growing cold, as they explained how they'd legally maneuvered around my grandparents' wishes. How they'd decided my brother's latest scheme deserved my inheritance more than I did. "You don't need it anyway," Dad had added. "Your lifestyle is modest." Modest. Because I lived in a small apartment and drove a used car, investing everything back into my company. Because I believed in building something real, not playing with inherited wealth. They never bothered to look at Techfin's financial reports. Never noticed that our revolutionary payment processing platform was attracting major investors. Never realized that while they were stealing my trust fund, I was building an empire. The acquisition offer for their company had landed on my desk last week. Anderson Financial, the investment firm my parents had spent 30 years building, was failing. Their old-school approach couldn't compete with modern fintech solutions like the ones Techfin had pioneered. But they didn't know Techfin was mine. Just like they didn't know that Kingston Industries, the mysterious corporation about to buy them out, was my holding company. "Your brother's real estate venture failed, by the way," Charlotte reported, interrupting my thoughts. "The $2 million is gone." Of course it was. Thomas had probably blown through it in months. "How are the numbers looking?" I asked, though I already knew. Anderson Financial's stock has dropped another 12% since news of the sale went public. Their clients are jumping ship, moving to digital platforms. Charlotte's smile was audible. Platforms like Techfin's. I turned back to the security feed. My parents were now standing, examining the modern art pieces that decorated the lobby. Pieces I'd chosen myself, though they'd never know that. "Their net worth has dropped 60% in the past year," Charlotte continued. "They're practically begging for this buyout. They needed this deal desperately. Kingston Industries' offer was their only hope of salvaging anything from their crumbling company. The same company they'd once used to justify stealing my inheritance. Miss Kingston is a visionary," I'd overheard Dad telling his golf buddies last week. "She's revolutionizing the industry. Anderson Financial would be honored to become part of her organization." If only he knew. My phone buzzed, a text from Thomas. "Hey sis, heard you're still working at that tech company. Need any help? I'm between ventures right now." I deleted it without responding. He'd burned through my trust fund and now wanted to help me? The irony was almost funny. "They're getting anxious," Charlotte reported. "Your father's asked 3 times when Miss Kingston will arrive." I stood up, smoothing my tailored suit. "Give me 5 more minutes, then bring them to the conference room." I walked to my private bathroom, checking my appearance one last time. The woman in the mirror barely resembled the daughter they'd dismissed so easily. Gone were the casual startup clothes and minimal makeup. Today I looked every inch the CEO about to acquire their company. Everything's ready in the conference room, Charlotte confirmed. The purchase agreement is on the table. Shall I have legal standing by? No need, I replied. This meeting won't take long. I gathered the documents I'd need, financial reports showing Anderson Financial's decline, proof of their mismanagement, and most importantly, papers revealing Kingston Industries' true ownership. My parents had taken $2 million from me thinking it would mean nothing. They were about to learn that I'd built something worth 100 times that amount. Send them in, I instructed Charlotte. Through the security feed I watched her approach my parents. Miss Kingston will see you now. They straightened up, putting on their best impression of successful business people. Mom adjusted her pearls one last time. Dad tugged at his expensive suit jacket. Thank you for waiting, Charlotte told them professionally. Miss Kingston appreciates your patience. If only they knew they were about to meet the daughter whose future they thought they'd controlled. The daughter who now controlled theirs. I sat down at the head of the conference table, arranging the papers precisely. Everything had to be perfect for this moment. A soft knock at the door. Mr. and Mrs. Anderson to see you, Miss Kingston. I smiled, thinking of my grandparents, wondering if they'd be proud of what I'd built with my own hands rather than their money. Send them in. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just success. It's making them watch as you succeed beyond their wildest dreams. My parents walked into the conference room with practiced confidence. The same fake assurance they'd shown when taking my trust fund. Mom's heels clicked against the marble floor. Dad's gold cufflinks caught the morning light. I kept my chair turned toward the window, letting them take in the expansive view of the city skyline. Miss Kingston, my father began using his best business voice. We can't thank you enough for. I turned around slowly, enjoying the way their faces transformed from professional politeness to absolute shock. Sarah. Mom whispered, her perfectly maintained facade cracking. Actually, I replied calmly, it's Miss Kingston now. Please take a seat. They didn't move, frozen in their disbelief. Sarah, what is this? Dad demanded, finding his voice. Where is Miss Kingston? You're looking at her. I gestured to the chairs again. Sit down. We have a lot to discuss. They sank into their seats looking like they'd seen a ghost. In a way they had, the ghost of the daughter they'd underestimated. This is impossible, Mom said. You run that little tech startup. TechFin Solutions? I smiled. Yes, I do. Along with Kingston Industries and 6 other technology companies. Would you like to see the numbers? I pressed a button and the wall screen came to life with financial data. TechFin's current valuation, $850 million. Kingston Industries, $3.2 billion. Total portfolio worth, just over $5 billion. Dad's face had gone pale. But you never said. You never asked. I opened the folder in front of me. Too busy giving my trust fund to Thomas for his concrete investments. How did that work out, by the way? Mom flinched. Thomas made some mistakes. He lost $2 million in 3 months, I corrected. My $2 million. Money our grandparents left specifically for me. We were trying to help him, Dad protested. He needed to learn responsibility, I cut in. Instead, you enabled his failures while dismissing my success. I spread out Anderson Financial's recent performance reports. Your company is failing. Digital payment platforms are making traditional investment firms obsolete. Platforms like TechFin's. They stared at the numbers, reality slowly sinking in. The Kingston Industries buyout offer is the only thing standing between you and bankruptcy, I continued. Your clients are leaving in droves, moving to modern financial services. Services I built while you were stealing my inheritance. We didn't steal. Mom began. You took money that was legally mine and gave it to my brother without my consent. What would you call it? Silence filled the room. Outside, the city hummed with activity, unaware of the drama unfolding 50 stories up. Why didn't you tell us? Dad finally asked. About your success. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Would you have listened? You called TechFin a little startup, the same day you took my trust fund. You dismissed everything I built because it didn't fit your narrow view of success. Charlotte entered with more documents. The final purchase agreement, Ms. Kingston. Thank you, Charlotte. I opened the folder. Now, let's discuss the future of Anderson Financial. You're really buying our company? Mom's voice trembled. Yes. But not to save it, to transform it. I pushed the agreement toward them. Anderson Financial will be absorbed into TechFin's digital platform. The old way of doing business ends today. Dad reached for the papers with shaking hands. The price. It's less than we asked for. It's more than your company is worth, I corrected. I'm being generous considering your mismanagement. Generous. He looked up sharply. We're your parents. Are you? Parents support their children's dreams. They don't steal their inheritance or dismiss their achievements. Mom started crying, perfectly applied makeup running down her cheeks. We were wrong. About everything. Can't we work something out? We are. I pointed to the agreement. You can sign the papers and let me save what's left of your company, or you can watch it collapse entirely. Your choice. And Thomas? Dad asked. What about your brother? Thomas made his choices. He'll have to live with them just like you'll have to live with yours. They signed the papers slowly, defeated. Each signature represented a piece of their empire crumbling, their pride dissolving. You'll receive your final payments within 30 days, I said, gathering the documents. After that, Anderson Financial ceases to exist. That's it. Mom whispered. 30 years of building this company. No, I corrected. That's not it. There's one more thing. I pulled out another folder. The last piece of my plan. Inside is a job offer, I explained. Entry-level positions in TechFin's client transition team. You'll help traditional investors adapt to digital platforms. They stared at me in disbelief. You're offering us jobs? Dad's voice cracked. Working for you? I'm offering you a chance to learn. To understand the future you refuse to see. Starting salary is $60,000 a year. Modest by your standards, but enough to live on. 60,000? Mom looked faint. But our lifestyle will have to change. Just like the industry is changing. I stood up. You have 24 hours to decide. Charlotte will show you out. As they walked to the door, shoulders slumped, Dad turned back. You planned all this, didn't you? Buying our company, making us work for you? No, I replied honestly. I built something successful, something revolutionary. Your company's failure and my ability to buy it? That's just karma. After they left, Charlotte brought in coffee. They looked shell-shocked. Wouldn't you be? I smiled. Finding out your little startup daughter now owns your company? Will they take the jobs? I looked out at the city thinking about pride and change and consequences. They will, I said confidently. Because they're about to learn what I learned 6 months ago. Sometimes losing everything is the first step to building something better. 3 days later, my parents started their new jobs at TechFin. Mom struggled with the casual startup atmosphere. Dad couldn't believe how many of his former clients preferred our digital platform. Thomas tried calling when he heard the news, probably looking for another handout. I had Charlotte block his number. Last week, during a company-wide meeting, I watched my parents in the audience, wearing their TechFin employee badges. They looked different, humbler maybe. Or just finally aware of how much the world had changed. The future of finance isn't in traditional firms or inherited wealth, I told the crowd. It's in innovation, in seeing possibilities others dismiss. My parents nodded along, finally understanding what they'd failed to see before. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just proving them wrong. It's making them work for the success